Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, an illegal alien is now on an ICE detainer after slashing to death, allegedly, a few people. But before we get to any of that, time for your daily dose of adrenaline.
You want me to stick this into my heart? Are you f***ing nuts?
The formal charging documents are out for the alleged assassin of Charlie Kirk, and they are something. We now have a lot more details than we had before. I'm going to preface this segment with this. If you have a conspiracy theory, you are welcome to share it with us if you do it tastefully and if you have something to back it up. Anything that you just randomly throw out there, I really have very little patience today for, because I'm tired of my entire religion being blamed for Charlie's assassination, which is crazy. The craziest thing I've seen online. If you have a conspiracy theory, you can call in at 206-421-5757. But I'm going to go through the actual documents so that you know what we are saying right now.
So this wouldn't be a time for me to share the ballad of the third baseman? Or the guy with the hat?
Oh,
shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut up.
Guys.
That's not helping.
And it's not only is it not helping, but it's making things worse. If you have something real, sometimes there is some real stuff. But let me tell you what's in the charging documents right now. Let me read for you. I have them open in front of me. I got them as soon as they were released by the FBI and by the Utah prosecutors and everybody else. Each round in the rifle contained an etching inscription as follows. The fired cartridge says, "Notices bulge." That is a trans reference about noticing what pieces of anatomy somebody has. Also, the noticing thing might be something else, but I don't want to speak out of turn without checking that out. That might actually be an anti-Semitic thing, but not sure about it. I don't think it is in this case. Second cartridge was written on it, "Hey fascist, catch," with arrow symbols. Now, the arrow symbols are one of two things, because I haven't seen the actual picture yet. They're either gamer code or they're Antifa symbols. Regardless if they're gamer code or Antifa symbols, because I haven't seen the actual picture yet, and I know some of you were talking to me about that at the fair. Hey fascist, catch, that's Antifa. That's anti-fascist. That's what that is for sure. Oh Bella Ciao, chow, chow. That is what they used to sing against Mussolini. That's anti-fascist stuff. That's what that is. That was on the third cartridge. Fourth cartridge. If you read this, you are gay. LMAO. That's more trans stuff that comes out of all that. Don't ask. It's complicated. I'm not going to get into it right now. It is clear that this person's ideology was very, very left-wing. And what's insane to me is the Democrats released the talking points today. And I know firsthand they released the talking points because some rookie political strategist for the Democrat was on Newsmax with me earlier today, claiming that this wasn't left-wing violence. Now, it'd be one thing if it was just some rookie political contributor that they had on Newsmax head-to-head against me. But I am seeing it in every Democrat's talking points. Clearly the emails went out today. Here's the talking points. Would you like to hear how they're spinning this? Here's my head-to-head with this person on Newsmax. I want you to tell me how you think I did.
Yeah, so when it comes to the narrative that we've been hearing from the president and the vice president and many, many people on X, because I'm on X too. I'm a left-wing commentator in a right-wing media world. The facts are that the left is not the party of violence. And I don't like to say that any party is, but the facts are that from 2022 to 2024, there were 17 right-wing murders. There were 17 extremist murders. All of them are right-wing. And then 13 extremist murders. All of them are right-wing from 2022 to 2024. So it's not in any way that the left is responsible for the violent extremism. And you could say that it was BLM or Antifa, but BLM and Antifa are not left-wing organizations. They're anarchists. And the president and the vice president are characterizing them as left-wing. And the Cato Institute has said that actually when it comes to riots, 60% of violent riots, including arson and breaking things, were from right-wing extremists versus left-wing extremists, which were 20%, and the rest were Islamic terrorism. So it's just a false narrative that I think is being used to divide us. And it's really hurtful for the president and the vice president to continue saying those things.
Ari, your response?
Madeline just disproved her own statistics. If you're going to say that Antifa and BLM are not left-wing organizations and that they're anarchists and that they're some kind of terrorists, you just removed a huge part of the equation. Tell me, if they're not left-wing, why did all the Democrat members of Congress and the Senate take a knee during the George Floyd riots? Why was Kamala Harris, former vice president, then vice presidential candidate, calling for people to support a bail fund to bail out the rioters? The only way your numbers are accurate is if you actually change what you represented about them. This was left-wing violence. This was because of what Charlie Kirk said, that the left didn't like it, and now the left is trying to change the narrative. I saw the other day, the left is saying the firebombing of Josh Shapiro's mansion, that was right-wing violence. That was a pro-Hamas lunatic. And the only ones I see supporting Hamas are the far, far left and major Democrats, including Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, AOC, and those types. And to say that this isn't a left-wing problem is beyond insane and only works if you change the data.
Madeline, I'll give you the final word. I'll give you the final word.
Sure. Thank you so much. So you're right. When it comes to the statistics that I just gave, if I want to assign Antifa and BLM to a separate category, then it refutes the statistics. But when I'm debating here, I often include it on purpose because I know that I'm going to get called out on it. That's my opinion, that they're not leftist. And that's what many people who I've spoken to who were in Antifa and BLM say, I don't like the Democrat Party. I don't identify with the Democrat Party. Regardless, though, from all the points that you just made, that doesn't negate the truth of the fact that the majority of violent protests, even if you include Antifa and BLM, the majority of violent protests, the majority of violence comes from the right-wingers, the Proud Boys, the Patriots, the ones who are claiming to be fighting for America.
Did you see anybody burning down buildings over the last few days? Did you see anybody looting over the last few days? Because I didn't see that at all. And you know what I saw for 4 months? For 4 months during 2020? That is all I saw. That is all I saw. And I saw the Democrats.
I'm sure that's true because you weren't shown the full picture.
Like people like Kamala Harris raising money to get the rioters out of jail. So you may say that the BLM and Antifa types don't support the Democrats, but the Democrats support the BLM and Antifa types.
You're right.
Exactly. I'm right. And she kept saying I was right. Those of you who are longtime listeners to the show know I don't play my clips from Newsmax or Fox all the time because I'm going to give my own opinion. Why do I need to replay what I said on Newsmax or Fox? What, just to crow that I was on Newsmax or Fox? I don't need to do that. The reason I brought this up today is so you could hear that radical lunatic and what she was saying. Because Hakeem Jeffries and everybody else in the Democrat Party are posting this nonsense on their social media pages. And it's insane. It's false, but they're trying to gaslight all of us. And I'm looking at the charging documents right here. The kid was radicalized online. Do you think he was radicalized by the right online? If he was radicalized by the right online, he would have been a fan of Charlie Kirk. It was the video game culture, not the video games themselves. Let's keep coming back to that. There's a social aspect. By the way, for those of you who are a little bit older and don't have kids, my kids' generation, video game culture has a lot of interaction with the headsets and when you're talking to people, when you're chatting people. That's what people say when they say, oh, the video games. It's not the video games. It's the online community that goes with the video games, which is notoriously left, which is part of this. But then you factor in that it was college and the education that the kid got at college that was radicalizing this kid. In addition to that, he had a trans boyfriend, meaning a biological male he was living with that it seems like he thought he was defending him. Should I read for you the texts that were found? I'm reading right from the charging documents. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson, which said, "Drop what you are doing, look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What?" Lots of question marks. "You're joking, right?" Lots more question marks. Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you." Roommate, "You weren't the one that did it, right?" Robinson, "I am. I'm sorry." Roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I'd planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Roommate, "Why?" "Why did I do it? Yeah, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about finding them." Roommate, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it." Robinson, "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring Grandpa's rifle back. I don't know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits, didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it, hope they don't find the prints. How the blank will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The blanking messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulges UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really blanking sucks." And it goes on from there. Now, I have a question about these texts. A lot of people are claiming they're fake. I have no evidence to believe that they're fake yet. This is in the official charging documents. You give me some evidence to say they're fake. All right, we'll talk about it. But here's the thing I see when I look at this. I see a deranged individual. That's what I see. And those of you who think it just sounds ridiculously fake, I'm going to tell you this. You're trying to get in the mind of a deranged individual. Here's something else. Let me take you back to the Boston Marathon bombing. Do you remember what happened with the suspect Dzhokhar Tsarnaev? Dzhokhar Tsarnaev was on the college campus there. Which one was it? Boston University, Brandeis? It was one of I forget which one it was. He was on one of the college campuses in Boston. And what happened was all his friends recognized him from the video when the images were put out. And they were texting him, "Dude, is that you? Is that you? Is that you?" And he would say things like, "Yeah, don't be seen with me. Don't look too closely. Kind of yes, kind of no kind of stuff." But here's the thing. Those roommates were later charged. And they were charged because they knew it was him and they didn't tell the authorities. Thank God for this kid's family turning him in. But if the roommate knew and the roommate didn't contact authorities, the roommate should be charged also. And any of the people in the Discord, for those of you who don't know what Discord is, by the way, it's an online chat area which a lot of gamer types use. If this guy was posting this stuff on Discord and other people saw it and didn't report it, they should be charged as well. And I would say this even if it was a Democrat who was assassinated, because the old rule still applies. If you see something, say something. As somebody who was involved working with youth for years, I can tell you that when a kid said something slightly off, I was all over it all the time. Because I didn't want to be the one who had the job as a mandated reporter that I didn't catch something. Always better to say something and be wrong than be wrong later. You know what I'm saying? You look at all this stuff, all these charging documents, and it paints a picture of a kid who is radicalized online to violence, of a kid from a conservative family, from a Republican family who was radicalized. This is a common story. This is what the left is petrified of, because now that everybody knows what happened, assuming this is all accurate, hasn't been proven in court yet, but these are the official charging documents, and there are probably more people out there who are part of this or who at least knew about this. The left is petrified that their entire narrative comes tumbling down. Oh, the right is the party of violence. The right is the party of violence. Prove it to me. Jasmine Crockett, the soon-to-be non-congresswoman, hopefully, from Texas, was literally saying violence is bad today and demeaning the other side is bad today before literally in the same sentence saying the other side is bad and demonizing them.
Free. It seems like violence is okay if it is only because the man that is currently serving in the White House asked for it, even when we look at ICE officers and what they are doing to those that are accused of violating our law. That is what they think violence is okay for. But then when it ends up happening and it comes back on the other side, they claim that it's because of the Democrats and them using words like fascist.
I don't even know what she just said. It made no sense. Do you know any ICE agents who killed anybody? Have you heard about anybody being killed or anything like that? No, of course not. But yet, she's literally saying, oh, violence is bad. Demonizing the other side is bad. Let me demonize ICE agents. Let me demonize the other side. That's what they're all doing right now. And they're all trying to say I couldn't believe the Josh Shapiro thing. I'm coming back to the Josh Shapiro thing. Josh Shapiro's house, the mansion, the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, was firebombed on Passover while his family was having Passover Seder by an anti-Israel, pro-Hamas lunatic. And you know what I've seen in the news? And I can't believe even reputable news stations are saying this. They're saying it was a right-wing agitator. They're so trying to lie about the narrative. Everything they're saying is lies. Hey, guys, for the last 2 years since October 7th, who's been rioting out in the streets? I can't remember so good. Hey, guys, who was rioting right before No King's Day and all that other nonsense? I can't remember too good who that was. Who was rioting all of 2020? Give me a break. When I had that head-to-head on Newsmax today, I have never had this happen before, Mike. I've never had this happen. You came in, you saw me pacing back and forth in here. You saw it. I was fired up. My heart was going a million miles an hour because I've had to stand on my principles before, but it's never riled me up that much where I said, I can't believe how blatantly they are lying on national television when they have not just me, but the Newsmax anchor who can call them out with the facts in a second, off the top of our heads. And by the way, I had no prep about what we were talking about on Newsmax. They had booked this interview yesterday, the day before, and usually they give you, hey, we're going to be talking about illegal immigration or border wall or whatever, and I got those talking points, but they didn't know the press conference was going to happen today, so they took me live right after the press conference, and immediately I get hit with the Democrat talking points, which means the Democrats sent out those talking points this morning. That's not a conspiracy, it's fact. When this little nobody who's got a couple hundred followers on social media, Democrat strategist, is saying the same things as Hakeem Jeffries and the same things as everybody in between, the talking points went out. I have not been that worked up or that upset in a really, really long time. It shook me to my core. Because if we can't agree on the facts anymore, how can you agree on anything? How can you do that? I want to have a rational conversation with people. I really do. But they're not interested in it because they're blatantly lying. There was a guy years and years and years ago, and I think I mentioned this once or twice before, Baruch Goldstein. Baruch Goldstein shot up a mosque in Israel. He is serving life in prison in Israel. Was it hard for us Jews to go, can't believe that happened because it so rarely does? Absolutely. But immediately, everybody condemned it across the board. January 6th, when it happened, every single Republican, bad, horrible, terrible, no, no, no. You guys want to keep having these conversations? It has to be a man getting his neck shot and blood spurting out for having an opinion. That is wrong. You know what your political spin should be? And by the way, Democrats, this was your chance to take back your party and you blew it. This was your chance to take back your party. You could have said, we're not letting the far left push us around anymore. The Democrat Party is about liberalism, and liberalism means freedom of speech. And you know what? You had the chance to take back your party, and you didn't do it. You didn't do it. You could have said no more with this left-wing craziness. You know, the only one on the left I heard say this, the only one, Bill Maher, when he was having an interview with Bill Burr. Bill Maher was the only one saying this, and Bill Burr didn't know what to do with himself.
Just the fight I have been having with the left, while I'm, of course, the irony, as a lot of people in my position, is still a liberal, just a traditional liberal, won't go along with their, like a lot of the stuff that's just crazy out there too far, which gets Trump elected, blah, blah, blah. As I always say to my woke friends, we voted for the same person. You're just why she lost.
Oh, I get it. Okay. Took me a second. Sorry, I had to absorb that.
Okay. You know, they're the people who don't want to talk. It's my main issue with them. And Charlie Kirk was a guy who, like, he was always talking. And I talked to him here. You know, the right-wingers say what you want about them, but they talk to you. They're not into this leftist think. The left really has much more of a, I don't talk to you, I don't want to deal with you, you're deplorable, I can't break bread with you.
Yeah.
That attitude, and like all the right-wingers, they don't have that attitude. No, again, I didn't vote for them. And Charlie Kirk and I certainly don't agree on much politically. But he sat here, he's a human being, he's not a monster.
And a husband and a father.
Yes. And I liked him. I liked them all. They're all nice people when you meet them in person. And they're not as crazy as they would. Nobody's as crazy as they make them out to be.
Bill Maher's the only one making sense on the left. The left had a chance to take back their party from the crazies, and they didn't do it. Instead, they're doubling down and lying about what actually happened. I think a lot of you, like me, have moved on to the next stage of grief. Anger. We're out of denial. We're in anger. Because you keep talking like this, you keep saying things like this, you keep excusing this behavior, then it becomes socially acceptable to do it. And as somebody who's received multiple death threats, I know where this gets you. I know where this gets you. This is a chance. There's a montage. I still haven't put it together. I'm sorry, Mike. I meant to send all this to you, but you had a lot of other audio to cut today of all these Democrats saying they're leaving the party. Guys, this is your chance to take back your party. This is your chance to take back your party. And you know what? We can still disagree on things. Doesn't mean you have to become a MAGA supporter. Doesn't mean you have to become a Trump supporter. Doesn't mean you have to become a Republican. Your party has been taken over by far-left wackos. And now the people leading your party are the ones saying, well, we had a chance to dump the far-left wackos, and now we're going to excuse their behavior. And if you excuse murder, if you excuse assassination, if you excuse violence, this is where it gets you. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, an illegal alien is now under an ICE detainer in our area after butchering, allegedly, 2 people. Tell you what happened when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I literally thought this was a joke when I saw the press release. Seattle police arrested a 19-year-old man and a 17-year-old boy early Monday after the pair allegedly harassed two women while wearing clown masks and displaying firearms in the Bitter Lake neighborhood. According to police, the incident began around... I knew that was coming. Set myself up for it. According to police, the incident began around 12:20 a.m. when two women flagged down officers on Aurora Avenue North. The women told officers the night before, near 128th Street, they were confronted by two masked males. One suspect appeared to be carrying a gun while the other repeatedly adjusted his waistband. Fearing an abduction, the women fled. The officer spoke with the victims. A vehicle matching the suspect's description was pulled into a nearby fast food restaurant parking lot. Police contacted the occupants, spotted clown masks and extended gun magazines inside the car. What is this, the opening of The Dark Knight? That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like all those other, bank heist movies. No, wait, they were wearing president's masks in Point Break. They were wearing doll masks in that stupid Sugar and Spice movie. What? Clown masks were The Dark Knight. I think there was another movie with the clown masks that I'm not remembering right now, but it's on the tip of my brain. And if somebody remembers, text me or call 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. The 19-year-old suspect admitted to the encounter, telling police it was meant as a prank, even showing the officers a video of the incident. Yeah, guys, Democrats made the laws so that if you're under 21, you can't have a gun, but you guys had them anyway. Hey, Democrats, how'd they get those guns? For the prank. How'd they get those guns? Just a question. Yeah, and they're both booked into jail. Like, come on, guys. Really? Dumb. Meanwhile, this one here, yesterday we told you the story about the Guatemalan man whose wife and kids and family are still in Guatemala. But this guy lives in Burien, and the media kept calling him a Burien man, who allegedly stabbed to death, his girlfriend and the girlfriend's roommate. So when I saw this story and I saw the charging documents and I saw the guy was being held on $10 million bail, which I've never seen before in the area of Seattle, a bail that high before, I said something's going on with this. So the Guatemalan thing struck me as interesting. Now, Seattle area law enforcement, Washington law enforcement, is not going to tell you immigration status because then they have to admit the guy's an illegal alien and we got sanctuary state laws. So I reached out to ICE. And when I reached out to ICE, I got this statement back. Ortiz is alleged to be one of the worst criminal aliens who pose a threat to the security of our communities. ICE is putting American people first by removing violent illegal alien offenders. So, Bob Ferguson, is this who you want to keep in the state? A guy who hacked to death? By the way, I believe two women of color. I could double check that. But this is who you want to keep in Washington state. I will say, one news outlet did the work on this in addition to us. One. You know who it was, Mike? Our friends over at Como News. It was Jeremy Harris. They did the work on this. So I got to give credit where credit is due. That Como News has really been on top of this, almost as quick as we have been. And they covered this. Did you see anything about this in the rest of the lamestream media? Why do you think they're not covering it? Why do you think that is? Insane to me that you have a double homicide and the guy's an illegal alien and nobody wants to talk about it because it goes against the narrative. Also want to thank Jeremy Harris and Como News for finding our studio chairs, which we left behind when we moved out of Como Plaza. Really do appreciate that. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line, take a call from Leonard in Shoreline. Leonard, what's going on, man?
Hey, nothing much. You know, that last segment you talked about this so-called Charlie Kirk's killer. When I heard the press conference today about that, I was literally floored. And after hearing the charging documents and all that good stuff, I was thinking, good heavens, what in the world is going on? Is the United States of America going to hell?
Well, I'll tell you this, Leonard, is that I was actually talking to relatives of mine who were alive in the 1960s. I clearly was not. And asking them about this, and depending on what community you were in, you might have felt the exact same thing in the 1960s. I think the media continuously underestimates how much of an impact Charlie Kirk had. And you're seeing that with the enrollment in Turning Point right now. How many thousands, tens of thousands of people have signed up to have new clubs? How many people feel inspired and motivated by the tragedy that happened to him? Leonard, appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. We go back to the Warrior Injury Law studio line. Take call from our frenemy, Bennett the protester. Bennett, what's going on, man?
Hey, are you thinking of Quick Change? There's a movie where Bill Murray dresses up as a clown and robs a bank. Did you ever
Maybe
see
it's that. The other one, oh, you just inspired it. Hang on, it might be this. The Chase with Charlie Sheen and Christy Swanson, where he was, right, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, when he was the red-nosed robber. It's one of those two. But yes, Bennett, thank you. That's a good reminder. It might be that.
Okay, I'm not sure because there are lots of movies like The Town where they're dressed up as nuns with such silly
Right.
masks that you make people, you remember it as them dressed up as clowns, but they're not actually dressed up as clowns.
Yeah, very good, very good.
So you were talking on yesterday's show about the guy who crashed out when he was going up to talk to Cam Higby at the table, and then he put out this YouTube video with a screenshot of all the local right-wing grifters. You recognized a handsome guy in the second row.
Oh, so Bennett, I actually meant to mention that. I completely forgot yesterday. The fact that he labeled you, Bennett the protester, our frenemy, who, Bennett, do we agree on anything aside from violence is bad?
How about no?
We're looking.
Okay. I'd say overall, you and I don't agree on anything, but that you were listed as a right-wing grifter is mind-boggling. You know why I think he put you there? And we're talking about a crazy person, so I can only have guesswork. You know why I think he put you there? Because you talk to me. Because you talk to Cho. Because you talk to Charlie. And according to this fool, you're not even allowed to have those conversations.
Well, if I'm in there because I talked to you, it's like you sounded almost offended that you weren't on the list. But how much more insulting is it that you didn't make the list, but I did?
You know what, Bennett? I got to tell you, I'm not actually insulted about that because I get enough death threats, and I don't need a new one. I'll tell you that. But yes, that was very, very funny. So yes, Bennett, for today, you win. I know in a world where there's no kings, Bennett, for today, you are king. Appreciate the call. Appreciate the humor. Appreciate you lightening the mood. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, is President Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and the entire Justice Department about to take on Antifa? If they do, it'll be a welcome development. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. What have we been saying since Trump was inaugurated? When are you going to go after Antifa? When are you going to go after the people funding Antifa? When are you going to go after the people funding these left-wing activist groups? When are you going to go after the people funding the Hamasniks? We're tired of them taking over our cities. Well, it looks like now this may have been what did it. It may have been the assassination of Charlie Kirk is what finally gets the administration to do it. I'm surprised it took this long, but you know what? They're pretty busy people. They got an entire country to run. This would have been higher on my priority list, but here's what the president said just earlier yesterday.
But you know, they have professional agitators. They're professional. I had one the other night. I went into a restaurant, and this woman stood up. I looked at her immediately. She had money. She wasn't serious. They get paid for it. They're professional from Soros and other people. And we're going to look into Soros because I think it's a RICO case against him and other people. Because this is more than like protests. This is real agitation. This is riots on the street. And we're going to look into that.
Now, J.D. Vance was hosting Charlie Kirk's show yesterday from the West Wing. He was hosting it from, I believe, the vice president's office. And he's over there, he said, on the White House campus. So I'm not sure if he was in the OEOB, the building I was in when I was doing all the interviews at the White House, because that room looked familiar to me. So I'm not sure if it was that same room. But anyway, J.D. Vance did a great job. Really did a great job. And he clearly wanted to do it to honor his friend, one of the people, if not the person, who's responsible for him being vice president of the United States. Here's how he opened the show.
I read a story in The Nation magazine about my dear friend, Charlie Kirk. Now, The Nation isn't a fringe blog. It's a well-funded, well-respected magazine whose publishing history goes back to the American Civil War. George Soros's Open Society Foundation funds this magazine, as does the Ford Foundation and many other wealthy titans of the American progressive movement. The writer accuses Charlie of saying, and I quote, "Black women do not have brain processing power to be taken seriously." But if you go and watch the clip, the very clip she links to, you realize he never said anything like that. He never uttered those words. He made an argument against affirmative action as a policy. He criticized a specific Supreme Court justice as an individual. He never said anything about black women as a group. He made an argument for judging people of all races and backgrounds by their own individual merits. The very evidence she provides, this hack of a writer, shows that she lied about a dead man, and yet she wrote it. An esteemed magazine published it. It made it through the editors, and of course, liberal billionaires rewarded that attack.
How many things are they funding? Look, we're able to find out who funds Hamas. We're able to find out who funds domestic terrorist groups. What, you think Antifa doesn't get funded the same way? We know the Hamasniks, when they're out of Colombia, were being funded by the Tides Foundation, other groups, and Soros's group. So why is it so hard to go after these guys? It shouldn't be that difficult. J.D. Vance continued.
But consider the level of propaganda at work. Charlie was gunned down in broad daylight, and well-funded institutions of the left lied about what he said so as to justify his murder.
How many times have you seen these lies on social media and they're being promoted by bots? I was showing Mike this earlier. On almost every post I make these days, I'm getting the Jews killed Charlie Kirk, and it's always some nameless, faceless bot in the comments. Who's paying for that? Somebody's paying for these bot farms to be running. Somebody's paying these agitators. You don't have the kind of money to go protest in the streets all day if you're working at Starbucks. Who is doing this? Who is behind the scenes? And we know who's been behind the scenes of it before. We do need a full RICO investigation. Because J.D. Vance was actually preaching to the Democrats at one point during the segment.
Of course, we have to make sure that the killer is brought to justice. And importantly, we have to talk about this incredibly destructive movement of left-wing extremism that has grown up over the last few years, and I believe is part of the reason why Charlie was killed by an assassin's bullet. We're going to talk about how to dismantle that and how to bring real unity that can only come when we tell the truth and everybody knows that they can speak their mind about the issues of the day without being cut down by a murderer's gun.
J.D. Vance was saying basically what I was saying in the opening segment, is that, guys, you have to disown the far left. You wanted all of us to disown the Proud Boys and everybody else, and that wasn't so much of an ask, by the way. We all were there already, right? Oh, you need to disown the Proud Boys. Mike, do I even know any Proud Boys? I don't think so. Not that I know of.
No.
Exactly. But you need to disown them. I don't think I even heard of who they were. It was always the Proud Boys, the Proud Boys, the Proud Boys, the Patriot whatevers, and whoever else is, right? We don't even know who these people are. So when's the left going to disown BLM? When's the left going to disown Antifa, Trantifa, anybody else? It's the only way. It's the only way you take back your party. It's the only way. Now, as much as we're beating up on the left today, the right, oh dear, Pam Bondi did something really, really bad yesterday. And I've always been one of her biggest defenders. When we come back, I'm going to tell you the latest thing she did, which may have made me turn a corner on my support for her. We'll tell you all about it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. There's an idea in politics of error-free ball. When you're doing well, when your administration's doing well, don't say anything stupid. Don't make any errors. So right now, The winds of change are on Republican side. Everybody realizes the danger the far left presents, but we still have a Constitution. And you still follow that Constitution. And the left has tried to say, oh, the right's going to go after anybody for their opinion, for what they say. And unfortunately, Pam Bondi kind of gave him the ammo to do it. Now, unlike the left, everybody I know on the right came down on Pam Bondi like a ton of bricks. And now I'm about to do it too. A lot of you have gotten mad at me before for defending Pam Bondi. I think the thing about her is she's a good attorney. She's not a very good spokesperson. And that's why people have spokespeople. Like, for example, Ann Davidson is a perfect example of this. I think Ann Davidson is a very good attorney. She's not a very good spokesperson. Let the spokesperson do the talking. I know Donald Trump likes to talk all the time, but he still has a spokesperson. So if you're not so great at being a spokesperson, let your spokesperson do the talking while you do the walking. And people will judge you by your record. For example, Mike, over at the King County Prosecutor's Office, we never hear from Lisa Mannion. We always hear from Casey. And Casey's the one who's always, because Casey is very good at being a spokesperson. Lisa Mannion may be doing a fine job or an okay job or whatever the case may be, but you think she's doing a good job because she's got a good spokesperson like Casey that actually shows good hiring. Pam Bondi, people say, oh, she's on Fox News all the time. To defend that for a second, is there any member of this administration who's not on Fox News all the time? So, exactly.
How about news?
Exactly right. Here's what she said. You be the judge.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
Okay, so she said that on Katie Miller's new podcast about free speech. Now, us on the right have said for ages now there's no such thing as hate speech. There's no such thing. You can say whatever dumb thing you want. It doesn't mean the consequences have to be legal. We have a Constitution. We have a First Amendment. But you know what the consequences are? Your employer may not want somebody who celebrates homicide or political assassination working for them. And they may say, bye-bye. Those are consequences, and that is also very Republican because that's the free market doing what the free market does, taking care of things that don't work, like crazy Antifa people. Also, it damages your brand. So many of these companies are getting rid of these people because they say, if you have Nordstrom's in your bio, or you have whatever school in your bio, you are speaking for us. Like that idiot out of North Creek, the principal out of North Creek School, what was his name? Eric McDowell yesterday, where he says, oh, I said all this stuff on my private account. Dude, everybody knows who you are. What? Okay, so Ari Hoffman's personal account on Facebook isn't Ari Hoffman. I can say whatever crazy stuff I want over there just because it's not my political account?
That wasn't Ari Hoffman. That was Ari Hoffman.
Right, exactly. Pay no attention to the man behind the other Facebook account, which is where I post pictures of my kids and stuff. By the way, guys, I love you all. I'm not going to accept friends from people I don't know on that account because there's pictures of my kids and stuff that I share with family members and stuff. Go to Ari Hoffman Official on Facebook and Instagram. Not that I don't love you, but that's why we have those things. That's for that separation. It's still me over there. And you'd be like, who's that guy water skiing? Oh, that guy looks like Ari, but a lot thinner. Yes, that's what's over there on that page. Meanwhile, going over the text line, seems like a lot of you did not like the lady I was talking to on Newsmax today. This one is great. So Bruce says, who is that nitwit on the radio right now? Rutgers says the left is violent to the tune of Reuters, not Rutgers, says the left is violent to the tune of 20% plus. Think it's okay to use violence to achieve one's political aims. The percentage for conservatives is 4%. These people are either on drugs, delusional, or I don't know what, says Bruce. Yeah, Bruce, you're 100% right. The 360 said something similar about this, really didn't like what that Looney Tune lefty was saying. I'm not even sure who you were speaking with at the beginning of your show, but that is one of the dumbest and oblivious people I've ever heard. Also wondering if you knew the whack job that killed the Minnesota senator is being labeled as a right-wing extremist. Thanks for reading this. Yes, we did know that. And they are a left-wing extremist. They are literally rewriting history. Lots more to discuss as the show continues, my friends. When we come back, homelessness is up again in our region. Anybody surprised? And if you're watching on the video stream, where I got this awesome t-shirt from, we'll tell you why that's relevant to what's going on in Washington when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, it seems like a lot of you do today, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up this hour, why are kids in Seattle public schools walking out of school to protest lunch? But before we get to any of that, yesterday Mike and I had a great time out at the Washington State Fair for Military Appreciation Monday. Now, I've been to two of these. I'm not like Mike, who's mayor of the fair, who's been out there as many times as he possibly can be over the fair season for the fall fair. But I saw something fascinating happening yesterday. Our booth was outside of the Showplex, one of the big pavilions they have there at the Washington State Fair. Our friends from the Pierce County GOP are pretty much right behind us inside the Showplex itself. So for those of you who haven't been out to the fair yet and you're looking for the GOP booth, they are there. Go find them. They have the initiatives for you to sign. They have material for you to buy. Some of the candidates are there. You can walk around and talk to them. You can learn about them. Lots of good stuff there. When I first went out, what was the conversation? Because last week was before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. The conversation was, we're so happy to be at the fair. After that little dust up there was, could they be at the fair? Could they not be at the fair? So happy we're at the fair. So glad to be at the fair. So glad everything worked out. So happy we could be here. But something changed. Because when I was there last week, they had a good crowd. They always have a good crowd, and they always have a lot of stuff at the fair. And let's not forget, the southern area of southern past Seattle and Tacoma and all that, much more friendly to our causes. But they always have a good crowd. They always do a good booth. They always do a good show. They always have lots of great stuff to buy. David Pressman putting all that stuff together, making all that stuff, really doing a great job. But I will tell you is that something changed. They had a line, a really big line. And what the line was for was to buy the merch that they're selling. So what did they start making? They started making Charlie Kirk and Turning Point gear. And before you think, oh, it's capitalism run amok and they're just profiting on this, the profits they make off that are going to Turning Point USA. By the way, I just got a notice from Turning Point USA. Mike, they just released these numbers. 54,000 requests for clubs. 54,000 in the wake of Erica Kirk's announcement on Friday. Her press, for lack of a better word, her press conference on Friday. Very powerful statement that she read. 54,000. So it's really nice that the GOP is doing that. Really nice that David Pressman's doing that. Really nice that they're doing that. But I'll tell you something else, is that while we were out there, all those people, they were telling me they were running out of initiative sheets because so many people were signing them because so many people were there to buy the merch. In fact, people were coming up to the KVI booth, and I said, hey, by the way, did you go to the Republican booth? Did you sign the initiatives yet? Oh, where is it? And then when I told them there was Charlie Kirk gear, or you see people walking around in the Charlie Kirk gear, they were all in on it. I think something has really been awoken here, which the left didn't count on, was people saying, we're not putting up with this anymore. We're going to vote at the ballot box. We're going to get involved. We're going to get more active. I know a lot of you came up to me and said, Ari, I want to thank you for what you're doing. No. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you to all those volunteers over at the GOP booth. Thank you to David, who's printing all those shirts. Thank you to everybody who's doing all the stuff to get the word out and to get people politically active, and all the people who went to church, and all the people who went to synagogue, and all the people who did all the religious stuff because they were inspired by Charlie's example. This is a massive, massive, massive movement you see going on, and the left doesn't know what to do about it. This is what President Trump said last week.
Is the message to the right, the people that are going to go, I want revenge, not to have revenge? Charlie Kirk would not want revenge.
You want revenge at the voter
That's where to go.
But unfortunately, we don't have so many ballot boxes because they have mail-in voting, which is totally rigged.
He's right. So you know what you got to do? You got to get to the Washington State Fair and you got to sign those initiatives. And if you can't get to the Washington State Fair, there's other places you sign those initiatives. You reach out to Let's Go Washington and you sign the initiatives that they have, and you reach out to the GOP and you get the initiative for voter ID, and you get it done. We get it done. They have awakened a sleeping giant. And I want to say, for those of you watching on the live stream, you can see I'm wearing one of the T-shirts that Dave made me. It's the same shirt that Charlie was wearing, the same style of shirt, not the same shirt, that Charlie was wearing, that said freedom on it. It's the exact same one. I'm very proud to be wearing this today, and thank you very much to give it to me as a gift. But go over there, buy some material, support them, and sign the initiatives while you're there. something really switched yesterday. And I felt it when I was talking to people, because normally when I talk to Republicans in the state, there's a lot of, well, we try, and we try, and well, voter ID and mail-in balloting, and we try. That's not what it was yesterday. There was a fire in everybody's belly. Like, we can turn things around. We can make Washington the way we want it to be, and you got to keep that going. That's the challenge, to keep that going, because there's so many things in the way. The left constantly talks how they want civility, compassion, as we spent the entire last hour taking apart their talking points. They want anything but. Now they're trying to blame all the violence on us. Well, let's hear from the horse's mouth. This is the official account of the Yakima County Democrats. The official account. Ready? This is what they write. Blah, 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 Charlie Kirk, radicalized, nada, fascists. That's the official account of the Yakima County Democrats. How many other official pages did something like that? By the way, somebody told me they took it down from Facebook, which is where it was, since the time I screenshotted it, and I screenshotted it myself because I knew that thing would disappear with the quickness. If you have a chance to go over there and check it out, let me know if it's still up or down. You can let us know at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. But a city council member in Washington state is facing backlash after a series of inflammatory remarks in which he appeared to justify the assassination of Charlie Kirk. In a public post to a local news blog, Kelso City Councilman Jim Hill dismissed the Turning Point USA founder as merely a podcaster who rose to prominence by being another mouthpiece for Donald J. Trump, adding that Kirk became rich and recognized because his lips were firmly attached to Trump's behind. That's what this guy said. Hill went on to write, the fact that in my humble opinion is this: there is one less voice to promote Trump's agenda where Trump and his minions want our country to go. Perhaps it's a good thing that voice was silenced. A reminder, those are the words of Kelso City Council member Jim Hill. He also wrote, assassinations are going to continue, that there is unprecedented hate, I think, is out there, and guns are going to be the answer to whether we continue to seek the ideals of our Constitution, continue our search for a better nation on one side, or Trumpism wins out. Are you kidding me? This is what this guy put into words, put into writing. I just want to remind everybody that there is a Kelso City Council meeting today at 6 p.m. at City Hall. So if you want to go out there and show how upset you are peacefully, respectfully, non-violently, not that I have to stress that, we're the right, not the left, that's tonight. And you can go say it. This is a guy who's also demonized opponents before. In fact, he sought an anti-harassment protection order against fellow councilmember Keenan Harvey, alleging years of harassment, slander, and defamation through emails, texts, and social media posts. Hill claimed the harassment was politically motivated and said the situation had grown so severe he required anxiety medication. Something tells me you may have ramped this up if you were writing dumb things like that. What was he really doing? Trying to bar Harvey from using Hill's names in communications outside city business. However, the order was denied because we have free speech. The dispute between the two has simmered since 2019, when Harvey unseated Hill with nearly 58% of the vote. That's what it is. He's mad about his political rival and trying to silence his political rival. This seems par for the course with this guy. It's insane. This is the left celebrating an assassination of a human being. It's absolutely crazy. How many more of these things are we going to see? How many more? This one here from the 253, an update on the Yakima County Democrats. This one here, the 253 says, Yakima County Democrats took it down from Facebook and posted it came from a volunteer. It was up for hours. I'm not yelling at you, 253. I'm not yelling at you. It was up for hours. None of you see what's going on there? You give a random volunteer access to your Facebook account? I doubt it. I doubt it. That apology does not hold water. It doesn't at all. Give me a break. Give me a break. Ugh, unbelievable. You know, there are ways to apologize. You can apologize. You can backtrack on a lot of the dumb things you've said. In fact, we're coming up on the Jewish holiday season. And you know what Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the Jewish New Year and the Jewish Day of Repentance are all about? Apologizing for things that you did. This is a time where the left can say, we're dumping the far left, we're coming back to normal, and we want to apologize for the things that we said. In Judaism, we say the apology cycle goes like this. You recognize what you did. You feel bad about what you did. You pray for God's forgiveness. You try to fix it with the person you wronged. And you apologize, of course. And you promise never to do it again. Have you seen any of that from the left? Have you seen any of that at all? Any of it? Now, there's a book, which if you haven't read, you should pick it up. It's called Sorry, 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 The Case for Good Apologies by Marjorie Ingle and Susan McCarthy. How to make an apology that actually works, what to avoid, and why it matters. Here's what she recommends. Say I'm sorry or I apologize. That shouldn't be so hard, guys. State what you did. Be specific. Name the action clarifies responsibility. Shouldn't be that hard. Show you understand why it was bad, what harm it caused. Explain, but don't make excuses. Say what you'll do so it won't happen again. Offer to make amends or repair what you did. And listen to the person you wronged. This shouldn't be that hard. And yet the left is doubling down and doubling down and doubling down and doubling down. And now they're actually justifying violence. So what do you think is going to happen next? When this talking point they're using right now, that the right's the party of violence, doesn't hold water, what do you think they're going to pivot to? It was justified. Because they tried, it was justified. They got yelled at by everybody. So now they're trying, it was the right. Watch, they're going to go back to, it was justified. Whenever you say, what happened to him was terrible, but... Are you kidding me with that? That's literally been the left this whole time. No apologies. No, I'm sorry. Maybe we need to tone down the rhetoric. None of that at all. We're seeing it all over Washington. But at least Washington companies are saying we don't want homicidal lunatics working for us. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from Komodo in Seattle. Komodo, what's going on?
Great show today. I listen to you driving home a lot every afternoon.
Thank you.
There's such a thing as personal responsibility. We all can listen to whomever do any kind of spiel, but do we have to go out and do what this guy did, killing Charlie Kirk? It's personal responsibility. You can't blame it on the right side or the left side. This gentleman had a personal responsibility to do right or do wrong.
I'm not disagreeing with you, by the way. That's a very fair point, and I'll actually make this one. I'll let you finish. Don't worry, I'll let you finish. But that's the thing where we said back in the beginning of the show, and I don't know if you were in your car listening at the very, very beginning where we were talking about the charges. It seems like a lot more people knew this guy was going to do it and didn't say anything to authorities. And there's some personal responsibility there as well, don't you think?
Yes, it is. But, I can't speak for those individuals who do not want to say anything to anybody what they knew that Charlie was going to do or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's a personal responsibility we can't blame on anybody. And I think what we have here is people are saying, well, let's bring it down. Let's bring it down. But you have the chief that's spitting out this garbage and sitting in the White House.
What you're worried about what Trump's saying?
On the leftists.
So here's the thing. What I'll say is this. Let me ask you this. What I see a lot happening is the left calling anybody they disagree with a Nazi, anybody they disagree with a fascist. Now, people who buy into that, and I'm not blaming Bernie Sanders because some guy shot up a congressional softball game. I've been very, very clear on that. I've mentioned that a lot of times. But when you keep saying over and over again, the people you are fighting against are pure evil, not we disagree with their ideas, but they are pure evil, pure evil, pure evil. And you have motivated them that they have to go punch a Nazi or fight a Nazi or kill a Nazi or if I could go back in time, I'd kill Hitler. That's the game plan they have. That's the game plan they're running right now. Do I like everything Donald Trump says? No, of course not. But at the same time, I keep hearing the left say, well, Charlie Kirk shouldn't have been killed. But, and when you start justifying violence, that's when, what do you expect? I'm not saying there isn't personal responsibility. I will concede that point to you, sir. I will. But at the same time, when you keep saying over and over again that it's going to be justified, now we have all these polls out showing that over 40% of our youth of Gen Z thinks it's okay to commit an act of violence against somebody they disagree with politically. How can we have a country like that? How can we have discussions with people like that?
There's a lot of, we have to admit, Ari, there's a lot of sick people out here.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sick people out here, people with mental issues, and there's nothing you and I can do about it, but there's a personal responsibility. I don't care what happened. There's a personal responsibility, and I'll just leave it at that. You have a great show, okay?
Absolutely, but I'll tell you what, you just inspired something in me. How great was this conversation that we disagreed a little bit and are still able to talk it out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love you, man. I love you.
Dude, I love the call. No, I love these kind of discussions. I really, really do. You should call more often, sir. That was a great call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. 253 sent us a screenshot of the Yakima County Democrats. This was apparently posted 2 hours ago. A message from the chair of the Yakima Democrats. This morning, I was made aware of a post on the Yakima Democrats Facebook page. It had been deleted by the time I learned of it, but several people have sent me screenshots of it. The post was made by a volunteer who was not authorized to do so. Stop. How do they have access to your Facebook account? You can't just have access to somebody's Facebook account. Yakima County Democrats do not condone violence of any sort, political or not. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here's the but. Here's the but. Well, we may not agree with an individual's political... No! Stop! Just say we don't condone violence. Why do you always have to couch it in something? Stop it! Stop it! We'll be monitoring access to our Facebook page more closely. Oh, was it hacked? Was it hacked? Did the volunteer hack your Facebook page with like 12 followers on it? Oh, spare me. What kind of nonsense. I know you guys are trying to make this right, but I saw this thing. Mike, what time did I get to the fair yesterday? Around 4 o'clock or something like that? All right. So I think I got my first break around 6:37. That's when I saw this post, and it was up when I got home that night. So you guys didn't act that quickly to take this thing down. We go to the Warrior Injury Law Studio line. Take a call from our good friend Alma. Alma, my darling, how are you today?
Just hurt. My heart hurts. I'm scared to death. My black sons are afraid. I'm riding in Marysville, having a good evening, and a bunch of white kids. Hey, yeah. This got to stop somewhere. Somebody's gonna die, and this race war, it's a civil war, is on its way.
Well,
Somebody
Alma,
gotta take it down. But let's stop it.
Alma, I'm not sure what happened, and that's really horrible if something did happen. I feel really bad that something would happen to you, Alma, who we love. But here's the thing. Don't you think right now, you call my show all the time, Alma, and I love when you come on, and I call you my darling, and I always wish you God bless you, and you always say the same thing to me. You're one of my favorite callers, and we can have these conversations. Don't you think the problem is so many people would rather demonize the other side than actually have the conversations you and I have all the time?
Well, we both need to stop. I think my side, a lot of people that I know, maybe that's I know personally, they don't want to demonize nobody. They want peace. They want to be able to live in this world. I got black sons and grandsons. It's scary.
So I'll tell you this, Alma. I'll tell you this, Alma. Here's what you're going to say. We're going to make a promise to each other, okay? Here's what we're going to do. To anybody who wants to ramp up the violence or something, you and I are both going to say no. We're going to say, no, that's not what we do. We have conversations instead. In fact, Alma, I invite you to KVI events all the time because I want to have a drink with you, right? Right? Every single time. That's what I want to do. So how about we both say we're going to do that? How about that?
Is it open? Anytime.
Excellent.
Anytime you want me to.
Excellent.
Whatever you want.
All right, Alma, you take care. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, why are kids in Seattle public schools walking out of school during school on the first day? Weirdness. We'll find out what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. I'm kind of torn about this story because I know that if you tell a school kid that they can go out of class with no repercussions whatsoever, they don't care what they're protesting. They don't care where they're going. They're going to leave because there's a reason to go and nothing's going to happen to them, especially on the first day of school. Seattle students are mad about their new lunch schedule, and on Monday night, they went to march on the headquarters of Seattle Public Schools. I can't believe I'm taking Seattle Public Schools' side in this, but I'm really not. So before you get mad at me, I'm really not. Why are you guys letting students leave the classroom, leave a building during school hours? They are your responsibility. Now, maybe Seattle Public Schools has one of these things where if you leave campus, you're on your own and we're not liable for any dumb thing you do. Then how do I know my kid's not ditching every single day? Now, what Seattle Public Schools did, I kind of understand what they did to trigger this, but at the same time, I think allowing a march on your building is really stupid. So Seattle Public Schools needs to split their lunch hour into 2 periods for the high schoolers so they can comply with state laws so that students have enough time in the classroom and to eat, among other things. Now, why are they mad about this? And I know this from volunteering at public schools. So they have about like an hour lunch period or something of that nature. So because you have an hour of lunch, what do you eat in 15 minutes, eat in 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes? What do you do the rest of the time? Well, the rest of the time they use it for club time, or they take their food to their clubs or their theater group or their glee club or whatever it is that they do. So what they're mad about is they're creating 2 lunch periods. So now they can't see all their friends necessarily. But the other thing they're doing is they're mad that it's getting shorter. Well, I'll tell you something, guys, is that I don't really have a problem with the policy because I think an hour lunch break is insane. I think it's absolutely insane in school. I don't think you need one that long, especially when you have recess and all these other breaks during the day and homeroom and you name it, you have all these other breaks during the day. We get 1 hour for lunch because that's all we get during the day, right? That's your real work. You don't get nap time or anything else. Now, I understand why the students are mad because there was really no warning or anything else about that, and they want their club time and everything else. But you know the easiest solution to this? But the problem is the school's never going to do this because then they got a union problem. I've been saying since COVID, what you should have been doing is extending the school day. What time do they get on Seattle Public Schools? 2:30, 3 o'clock? That's it? You guys are going head-to-head with schools that don't get out till 5 o'clock, and you're competing for college spots, and you're competing for top priority placement, top testing, and top test scores. If you're going head-to-head with kids who are getting 2 hours of education more a day, minimum. So that's 10 hours extra of learning a week. You guys are not on a level playing field at all. Why don't you extend the school day? Oh, right, because the unions will go bonkers crazy. Even though they say it's all about the kids, it's all about the kids. Well, your unions are the ones that kept these kids out of school for 2 years in Seattle. Unbelievable. Speaking of protests, by the way, Hamasniks are organizing school walkouts in our state, in Western Washington, on October 7th to support Hamas. That's right, they're doing this on October 7th, calling the rape, torture, and murder of over 1,200 civilians a great achievement, heroic, and one of the most important events in our lifetime. Those are direct quotes that are actually on these flyers they are using. Now, we know it's a lot of the Issaquah school districts that are doing this. Gee, I wonder why you have a Spanish teacher who thinks it's okay to say free Palestine in the classroom because apparently that's what you guys do in Issaquah public schools. Terrorist supporters are also protesting the unjust wars against Lebanon, Yemen, Iran, and Syria, which were all former terrorist strongholds. You can argue whether or not they still are. But let's go through these for a second. Yemen, attacking U.S. shipping for no reason whatsoever. What does Yemen have to do with any of this? Nothing. Lebanon, Hezbollah, Operation Grim Beeper. Oh, you're mad that we took out all the terrorists who killed all those Americans in Marine barracks bombings? You're mad about that? Syria. How many Americans have we lost because of Syria? Iran, promising to wipe us all out with nuclear weapons. Any school district that permits these walkouts should lose all federal funding. Not because the kids are walking out, but because they're walking out in support of a terrorist group. That's incitement. That's treasonous. You want to say they're kids? Who are they being brainwashed by? Last time it was a whole bunch of parents I saw from the Council of American Islamic Relations who are involved in all this nonsense. And I see a lot of them terrorist groups on social media supporting all this. They're smart enough this time now. I think they realize the Trump administration is onto them because they're getting rid of a lot of their logos. They used to broadcast their logos all over the place, but I think they realized they were giving fodder to people like me to go, let's look into their finances. Let's look into their taxes. Let's see what else they've posted on social media. Plus, here's something else. Why are you letting the kids out of school during school time? How many kids are going to go protest with Hamasniks because they know they can just leave the building? If you had told me I could leave the building and not get in trouble when I was in high school, I would have run for the door. A chance not to be in class? I don't care what they're doing outside. I'm going with them. I'll make a right turn, and then I'll go around the block and get in my car and go home. But, yeah, I'm going to leave the building, too. And then they get to claim, 600 students walked out of class. Why aren't there any repercussions for walking out of class? Why are these students being allowed to walk out during the school day? You want to protest? Do it on your own time. This is school time. Maybe we need Mr. Hand to show up in their bedrooms. Mr. Hand, sit down with Spicoli, and you're going to make up all the learning time that you missed. Maybe that's what we do with these Hamasniks. Oh, wait a second. We don't have Mr. Hand-type teachers anymore. Who do we have? Mr. Handsy. That's what we have. Or Mr. Antifa. Or Mr. Bloody Hands for supporting Hamas. That's what we have these days. Lots more to discuss as the show continues. When we come back, my friends, the Seattle Times wrote one of the dumbest articles, and every time I think they can't get any dumber, they somehow manage to clear the bar again. Apparently, they're not aware that we had socialist members of our government here before. We'll tell you what's going on when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Looks like a lot of you agree with my take on what was happening in Seattle public schools. This one from Bob in the 509. Ari, I have to agree with Seattle public schools on this one, too. Much as I dislike almost everything about Seattle School District promotes and stands for, first, there are practical facility-related reasons for splitting lunch periods. Second, it's a lesson learned for students that you can't just have everything you want and choices must be made in life. But we're overlooking the main issue here, that SPS and some parents have indoctrinated these little urchins into believing they can get their way on whatever they want by walking out, hollering demands, and breaking the rules just because. Supporting spoiled brat activity does not bode well for the future. Unfortunately, it's become Seattle normal. Exactly right. They learn by example. They think they can get whatever they want by walking out. Who's the queen of protest and getting whatever she wants by demanding things? Well, we have a $20 minimum wage because of her, and we defunded the police because of her, and how many other horrible things happened around here because of her? Oh, right, Kshama Sawant. Kshama Sawant, socialist, Marxist, communist, was running our city for literally years. Everybody was afraid of her. She showed up with her crazy band of lunatics, and everybody did what she wanted on the Seattle City Council. She was joined later in her career by Tammy Morales. Tammy Morales ran as a socialist until somebody who was running against her, namely me, started calling her out for it and then started hiding all the socialist stuff. Until, what happened, she makes it through the primary and says this to Chris Daniels, who I believe at the time was with King 5, not Como News.
Everybody likes to label people, right? And the stranger said, you are a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. The mayor labels you as a socialist, but you told the stranger you're not a socialist. So what's the deal with that?
I am a member of DSA, and, really what this race is about is representing the needs of the people in this district.
Member of DSA means member of Democratic Socialists of America. But Danny Westneat from the Seattle Times thinks socialism is something new that we've never had here before. Oh, maybe we'll do it right this time because it's worked out so well everywhere it's been tried, right? Right? Okay, it hasn't. Somebody told me at the state fair yesterday that I'm too sarcastic and that occasionally my sarcasm, they think I'm being serious and they don't know that sarcasm is actually my first language. American is my second language. So yes, I do not think socialism can work. It hasn't worked anywhere. Let me be clear about that. According to Danny Westneat over at the Seattle Times, American faith in capitalism is declining. The headlines blared this past week. It's a sign of the times. Only 54% of adults hold positive views of the nation's dominant economic system. That's the lowest since the Gallup polling firm started asking the question 15 years ago. Well, something is when your schools are brainwashing your children against the U.S. and its system and its pillars of government and how it works, what do you think's going to happen? This is by design. More relevant to this area where Democrats are in charge is a sea of change for the Liberal Party. For the first time, fewer than half Democratic voters, just 42%, have a positive view of capitalism. By a 24-point margin, they are gravitating towards something else. Some area political candidates are seizing on it. Mike Westgard, a candidate for Renton City Council, told Westneat, by now we all know the S word. Whether you love it or fear it or are confused by it, it's happening. The S word is, of course, socialism. Westgard is running for office as an out and proud sewer socialist. I believe all socialism belongs in the sewer is what I would say, but what is a sewer socialist? There's a movement a century ago promising something deeply pragmatic that capitalism failed to deliver. Sewer lines with inside flush toilets for the masses. The beauty of sewer socialism is it starts right where you are. You might even be doing sewer socialism right now, Westergaard says, walking out of a men's room in a campaign video. Westergaard, who is himself a King County wastewater worker, has a campaign tagline that sums it up. Flush the rich. On a far larger stage, Seattle, a brand of socialism similar to this, may be about to make its biggest inroads in a century. What are you talking about, dude? You had Tammy Morales, Kshama Sawant, Teresa Mosqueda, Lisa Herbold, and Lorena Gonzalez. That is 5 of 9 Seattle City Council members. They had the Seattle City Council. What are you talking? Do you forget what just happened? Have you forgotten all of that? Yes, I am a socialist, says Katie Wilson, now the front runner, to win the Seattle mayoral's race in November after a primary thumping of incumbent Mayor Bruce Harrell. I'm not out here waving a socialist flag because I'm not super ideological person. Are you kidding me? Not super ideological. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a good one. You remember we played that stupid pizza video where everything was about affordable housing, and she's so dumb she doesn't know the economics of what's causing the lack of affordable anything around here? Unbelievable. I'm also not sure that label will help me in the general election, but yes, I'm fine with being called a socialist. Oh, that's a, don't call me that because then people might realize I'm an actual socialist and they may vote for the other guy. Yeah. Danny Westing says, I'd asked Wilson where she stood on the capitalism versus socialism smackdown because a local group, Seattle Democratic Socialists of America, is locked in a debate about whether or not to endorse her. Some are questioning whether Wilson is socialist enough, so you can never be left enough for the left. She asked for the group's endorsement, but isn't a DSA member. Would she commit to the entire local DSA platform? She says probably not. By the way, would you like to know what's in their platform if they do end up endorsing her? Support for Hamas. I've seen their endorsement documents. It's in there. It was in there before October 7th. Others in the group say it would be political malpractice to miss out on what could be the biggest West Coast triumph for a socialist since the 1920s. So apparently holding half the Seattle City Council doesn't count. Winning the mayor's race, that counts. Are you guys blind to what happened? Do you guys not pay attention to that? If we can't support a socialist for mayor of Seattle, what are we doing here? One member said in the group's online site. Let's not become more Catholic than the Pope here. It just comes off as sectarian, agreed another. Oh my God, a religious reference with the Democratic Socialists. The tension between purity and having broader appeal has haunted socialist campaigns back to the sewer days. Sewer socialist itself became a term for derision for more hardcore socialists who want to bring down capitalism rather than focus on a pragmatic delivery of public services. Oh, you mean Kshama Sawant, Tammy Morales, Teresa Mosqueda, Lorena Gonzalez, Lisa Herbold? Because that sounds like exactly what they did. And by the way, Katie Wilson, who's in charge of the Transit Riders Union, those are the very policies they advocate for. Those are the very policies they do. So her saying I'm not ideological, oh, I don't buy into all this stuff, is nonsense, just trying to get moderates to vote for her. She's so psychotic. I now understand why people are supporting Bruce Harrell. I'm not, because he's been trying to be her this entire time. No matter who wins the Seattle City Council race, no matter who wins the Seattle mayoral race, you lose. That's guaranteed. You're Ace Ventura in the second movie when he has a spear in one leg and a spear in the other leg. Right? Neither one's good. What smells better? A pile of poo or a pile of garbage? Both of them smell terrible. Don't make me choose between which one I want to go swimming in. When we come back, my friends, some early good news for you. A local school district is actually having Charlie Kirk Day. Tell you all about it. Put a smile on your face. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Remember, coming up at 5:45, your chance to win tickets to The Who, plus a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card, and so much more. Yet another reason to always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and, of course, subscribe on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. When you think all of Washington is bad news these days, I told you the story about the Washington State Fair. There's a little ray of sunshine. And shockingly, it actually comes from a school district. The Linden School District is officially declaring Charlie Kirk Day. Draft Resolution number 13-25 affirms the Linden School District's Board of Directors' commitment to safe learning environments that promote respectful dialogue and civil discourse. The resolution reaffirms the district's commitment to preparing students for academic, professional, and civic life through opportunities that build confidence and leadership. So what they want to do is they want to pass this resolution, which is the opposition to political violence and institution of Charles James Kirk Day and support for student debate clubs. How can anybody have an issue with that? How can anybody have an issue with that? What, you don't like who it's named after? You still get to have the debate clubs. You could have a debate over whether or not it should be named after Charlie Kirk. So they resolved that the Monday immediately preceding September 10th of every year is hereby set aside as Charles James Kirk Day within the Linden School District. On Charles James Kirk Day, the Linden School Board and the district will stand in opposition to political violence of any kind. It is a recommendation of the Linden School Board that observation of this day be led by students where practical. The Linden School District Board reaffirms its ongoing support for the formation and promotion of student debate clubs across its schools and encourages school leaders, educators, and community partners to work collaboratively to make these opportunities accessible and interested to all parties. So, Turning Point USA, just a couple hours ago, announced that they have had over 54,000 requests for clubs. I think they had 9,000 total before this. 54,000. You know what the next cycle is going to be on the right? Not the people who are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. The next news cycle is going to be the schools that refuse to have a Turning Point USA club. That's going to be the next thing. Guaranteed, just watch. We're going to start seeing those kind of stories out of this. And what's wrong with having a Turning Point USA club? My daughter and her friends want to start one at their school. I think she's turning in the paperwork today. I have to double check with her. I didn't see her last night because I was out at the fair, so I didn't get to ask her how it went. But when I was helping her fill out the paperwork, we're going online. What do they discuss in these Turning Point clubs? Civics, lower taxes, freedom of speech, constitutional values, religion. You pick the religion based on the student makeup. Oh, really scary stuff, that whole Constitution we live by. Really, really, really scary stuff. Charlie Kirk said that he wanted to have a public school club in every public school, in every college, or a Turning Point USA club, I should say, in every public school. He wanted to have one in every school campus. He wanted to have one on every college campus. I wonder if his death is going to be a thing that actually makes it happen. Andrew Colvett, who is Charlie's right-hand man, he was actually hosting the Charlie Kirk Show today with the guys from the Daily Wire. He said Charlie was a prophet. He called on America to repent and be saved. It's all very clear to me now. Now, whether you want to take this the religious way or whether you want to take this a different way, a prophet really just means somebody who delivers a message. You can take it to mean somebody who delivers a message in advance. I remember in high school, a rabbi gave us an assignment to define what a prophet was before we started studying prophets. He gave us this, and judges and all that. He gave us that. And we had to look up who we thought prophets were. And at the time, I remember I went to music, and I pulled up some people I thought had prophetic messages. Now, some of you are going to accuse me of blasphemy on that. But do you think that Charlie Kirk was prophetic? Somebody who brings a message? Absolutely. Does it have to be in advance of everybody else? It could be a warning to everybody else. Do you think Charlie Kirk was a prophet? Give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. When we come back, my friends, lots more to discuss, including the internal battle, which is happening inside of MAGA right now. MAGA might be about to have some massive, massive, massive canyons and schisms. Can it be averted? What's driving it? Is it the left or is it actually the far right? We'll explain all of it when we come back. You're listening to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. Welcome to the Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI, your home for the politically homeless, streaming live at KVI.com and the KVI app. If you want to be part of the most dangerous show on the airwaves, call or text the Warrior Injury Law Studio line at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Coming up at 5:45. Your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card and tickets to see The Who coming up at the end of the month. But before we get to any of that, the question I asked in the last hour is, do you think that Charlie Kirk was a prophet? What the definition of a prophet brings a message. Becky in Enumclaw writes, you ask if Charlie Kirk could have been a prophet. But doesn't that make sense now? I'm so glad the Linden School District is honoring him. I was really disappointed that the Kent School District would not lower the flag for him. They were going against the wishes of the federal government. I guess what a shame. Very disgusting and disappointing for the Kent School District. That's the story we did yesterday, where they didn't only go against the wishes of the federal government, they went against the wishes of the president, they went against the wishes of their own governor. Because Turd Ferguson, he even went along with it, but he stuck on that stupid thing about Democrats who were killed by other Democrats, even though he was trying to make it look like it was Republicans. At least he sort of did the right thing. But yeah, the Kent School District said no, and none of this is in line with our values. Nothing Charlie Kirk said is in line with our values. What's not in line with your values? Biblical values? That's what our entire moral code is based on. What are you mad about? How about conservative values? How about constitutional values? You don't believe in any of those? That's how you guys get to say the dumb stuff that you do. Bruce Hay says, Ari, Charlie Kirk was not a prophet. His message was not original. It was just out of step with modern times, especially with the left. His embrace of what could only be called traditional American values and our constitutional principles makes him an anachronism, somebody who stood out because he was a bit out of time but sorely necessary. Somebody with his memory, logical abilities, and oratory skills would not have been out of place debating the major issues of the day when this country was established. The kinds of things one could read in the Federalist Papers, which I doubt too many of our public schools even mention, let alone teach anymore. Charlie was a patriot. Leave it at that. I like Happy Warrior. That's the one I like. But you know what I really don't like is what the left is doing. The left keeps trying to both sides this. In fact, they've left out all the violence on the left, and now they're going full, oh, it's all the right-wing crazies. Hey, guess what? We went through those charging documents earlier in the show. This was not somebody of the right who killed Charlie Kirk. Remember MSNBC said the day he was shot that really dumb line? They said, oh, maybe it was somebody firing a gun in celebration with no evidence whatsoever to back it up. J.D. Vance, Vice President of the United States, was hosting Charlie Kirk's show just yesterday. Did a really good job. And he called out this both sides insanity.
Unity, real unity, can be found only after climbing the mountain of truth. And there are difficult truths we must confront in our country. One truth is that 24% of self-described, quote, very liberals believe it is acceptable to be happy about the death of a political opponent, while only 3% of self-described very conservatives agree. 3% is too many, of course. Another truth is that 26% of young liberals believe political violence is sometimes justified, and only again, too high a number. In a country of 330 million people, you can, of course, find one person of a given political persuasion justifying this or that or almost anything. But the data is clear. People on the left are much likelier to defend and celebrate political violence. This is not a both sides problem. If both sides have a problem, one side has a much bigger and malignant problem, and that is the truth we must be told.
You know something I want to survey on? Is the left okay with death? Now, let me explain my position for a second here. The left was okay with illegal aliens drowning in the Rio Grande because all these people were coming across the border. And you know what? If you want to influence elections to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs. The left is okay with letting people live on the streets so that they can get affordable housing, quote unquote, even though one has nothing to do with the other. They're okay with people dying on the streets because they go, hey, do what you want. You want to do drugs? We want to make you a productive member of society who does drugs. The left seems to be okay with death. That's what the left seems to be okay with. I would love to put it that way. Are you okay with different types of death? Are you okay with people dying on the streets? Are you okay with political assassinations? Are you okay with political violence? Are you okay with people drowning in the Rio Grande and dying and getting raped when they come across the border? Are you okay with Israelis getting massacred by Hamas? I want to know if they are okay with death. Are you okay with the continuing war between Ukraine and Russia? Because if they're okay with death at that magnitude, which every position of theirs seems to be like it is, I don't know how you find common ground with that. I really just don't. Last night on The Five on Fox News, Jessica Tarlov, she's their token liberal over there, and she says some really dumb things. Greg Gutfeld called her out for trying to say that the violence is a right-wing issue. Hey, by the way, everybody on the left, this should have been a warning to you. Don't run with these talking points all day today, which you did, which is this whole thing is a problem on the right rather than the left. This is a longer clip. But I don't think I've ever seen Greg Gutfeld lose his patience before. Normally, he's the funny guy. He makes the jokes. He makes a snide comment. He really let Jessica Tarlov have it last night. In fact, Mike even had to bleep some of the clips here. It was so intense.
I'm just saying we need more information before you Charlie Kirk at a dinner. Before
we don't need more information.
Really?
Yes, we don't need it. What is interesting here is why is only this happening on the left and not the right? That's all we need to know.
What about
There's absolutely no cognitive...
What about Melissa Hortman that we just talked about?
You want to talk about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
Doesn't matter?
Don't play that bullshit with me. You know what I'm saying is there was no demonization, amplification about that woman before she died. It was a specific crime against her by somebody who knew her. The same. Now you could bring up Josh Shapiro, but then you will not bring up, for example, that was a pro-Palestine person. So don't use your what about this? The fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly, we don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That is dead. For one thing, there is no cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, your beliefs do not match reality, so you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this or what about that? We're not doing that because we saw it happen. We saw a young, bright man assassinated, and we know who did it. We are not coming up with rationalizations. We are calm, we are honest, and we are resolute. We're not defensive, and I understand the defensiveness. I understand why people are saying, what about this and what about this? Because if you have to face the underlying fact to this, your life is going to fall apart because you're going to realize you're not the good guys. If you sat around and you defended the mutilation of children, you're not the good guys. If you sat 600, 700 cases of harassment against Republicans and you said, but what about this? What about this? And then you see this murder after calling somebody a fascist, you realize maybe I'm not the good guy. That is a hell of a realization to deal with. So therefore, you have to grasp at rationalizations. You don't have to do that, Jessica. They do. I don't believe you're part of that group, but why the hell do you have to mimic and echo that crap to us? He was a patsy. That guy was a patsy. He was under the hypnotic spell of a direct-to-consumer nihilism, the trans cult, and you know that. If you can decide that biology is false, you can agree that murder is okay and that humanity is expendable. How you cannot see that alone and see that for what the evil it is without having to attach all of these other things is beyond me.
I just want to be clear, and I want to let people speak. I in no way intended at all to minimize what happened to Charlie. I was horrified by it. I have not been on the Five
but
since
the
then.
two sides argument, it's like pig Latin to a duck.
No. All that I was saying is could we have all of the information before you just say they did this? Because that is a broad brush to paint with this. And this kid
Let's have a conversation.
No.
Charlie had a conversation. He got shot. I'm sorry, Jessica. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You weren't here for a week. You came in here and it's cold. And I'm sorry, but this is a story that is immune to news cycles. It's immune to rationalizations. It's immune to bias. This thing is with us for good. And we all have to deal with that. So that means we can't live by the same arguments that you might be reading about relativism among the media. We can't deal with those stories. It doesn't matter. The media is dead to us on this story. They built this thing up. We're dealing with it. we're going to act. We don't care what the whataboutism is anymore. That is dead. Sorry. For the swearing as well. I apologize to the American public. I'm going to shut up for the rest of the show.
He's right, by the way. He's 100% right. Tell me you didn't agree with him in every word and you cheered every word, not only because you hate Jessica Tarlov, but because you're so tired of taking it. You're so tired of the media defending all these indefensible positions, and you feel like the crazy one when you speak out against them. Violence is not okay. I challenge anybody to find a time where I said violence was okay. Challenge anybody to find that. When January 6th happened, I condemned it as fast as I possibly could. It was awful. It was terrible. It was wrong. And I still get angry callers who get mad at me for saying that all the time. But I am morally consistent on this, and I sleep fine at night. The left isn't doing that at all. They're the ones who kneeled in Congress during the BLM riots. You know what it means when you kneel? It means you're submissive to something. We kneel before God. That's who we kneel before. The left kneels before who's going to help get us elected? What radical cause will help get us elected? They kneeled before rioters. They kneeled before rioters. Now they're kneeling before Hamas. What can we give you guys? What can we give you guys? We're afraid the Hamas may not exist anymore. How can we help you out? For those of you that missed it earlier, I had a similar conversation when I was on Newsmax today. They sent some new political Democratic consultant named Madeline Somerville on Newsmax. Now, the way my Newsmax hits usually work is usually what happens is, and this is for Fox News too, normally what happens when I'm on any radio hit or TV hit, I get a list of the topics they're going to discuss that day. Hey, we want to discuss this, 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 and this. They don't tell me the questions they're going to ask, but they say, hey, just so you know what you're talking about, here's what you're talking about. But the problem was today, the time we had booked was right when this press conference was going on. So they kept us holding, and they kept us hanging out there, and then they had me and this woman, Madeline, react to the press conference. She says in her bio she's a TV political and legal analyst, a trial attorney and jury consultant, political strategist, and speechwriter. I don't think she was prepared for today. It's clear somebody gave her her talking points, but she wasn't prepared for somebody who knew off the bat that her talking points were absolute garbage. Here's my interaction with her on Newsmax earlier today.
Yeah, so when it comes to the narrative that we've been hearing from the president and the vice president, and many, many people on X, because I'm on X too, I'm a left-wing commentator in a right-wing media world, the facts are that the left is not the party of violence. And I don't like to say that any party is, but the facts are that from 2022 to 2024, there were 17 right-wing murders. There were 17 extremist murders. All of them are right-wing. And then 13 extremist murders. All of them are right-wing from 2022 to 2024. So it's not in any way that the left is responsible for the violent extremism. And you could say that it was BLM or Antifa, but BLM and Antifa are not left-wing organizations. They're anarchists. And the president and the vice president are characterizing them as left-wing. And the Cato Institute has said that actually when it comes to riots, 60% of violent riots, including arson and breaking things, were from right-wing extremists versus left-wing extremists, which were 20%, and the rest were Islamic terrorism. So it's just a false narrative that I think is being used to divide us. And it's really hurtful for the president and the vice president to continue saying those things.
Ari, your response?
Madeline just disproved her own statistics. If you're going to say that Antifa and BLM are not left-wing organizations and that they're anarchists and that they're some kind of terrorists, you just removed a huge part of the equation. Tell me, if they're not left-wing, why did all the Democrat members of Congress and the Senate take a knee during the George Floyd riots? Why was Kamala Harris, former vice president, then vice presidential candidate, calling for people to support a bail fund to bail out the rioters? The only way your numbers are accurate is if you actually change what you represented about them. This was left-wing violence. This was because of what Charlie Kirk said, that the left didn't like it, And now the left is trying to change the narrative. I saw the other day, the left is saying the firebombing of Josh Shapiro's mansion, that was right-wing violence. That was a pro-Hamas lunatic. And the only ones I see supporting Hamas are the far, far left and major Democrats, including Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, AOC, and those types. And to say that this isn't a left-wing problem is beyond insane and only works if you change the data.
Madeline, I'll give you the final word. I'll give you the final word.
Sure. Thank you so much. So you're right. When it comes to the statistics that I just gave, if I want to assign Antifa and BLM to a separate category, then it refutes the statistics. But when I'm debating here, I often include it on purpose because I know that I'm going to get called out on it. That's my opinion, that they're not leftist. And that's what many people who I've spoken to who were in Antifa and BLM say, I don't like the Democrat Party. I don't identify with the Democrat Party. Regardless, though, from all the points that you just made, that doesn't negate the truth of the fact that the majority of violent protests, even if you include Antifa and BLM, the majority of violent protests, the majority of violence comes from the right-wingers, the Proud Boys, the Patriots, the ones who are claiming to be fighting for America.
Did you see anybody burning down buildings over the last few days? Did you see anybody looting over the last few days? Because I didn't see that at all. You know what I saw for 4 months? For 4 months during 2020? That is all I saw. That is all I saw.
I know.
And I saw the Democrats
I'm sure
not
that's
do anything
true
about
because
it.
you weren't
and I
shown
saw
the full
left,
picture.
like people like Kamala Harris, raising money to get the rioters out of jail. So you may say that the BLM and Antifa types don't support the Democrats, but the Democrats support the BLM and Antifa types. Exactly. I completely agree with me. The thing is here is that the left is now trying to change the data. They don't like the data that the majority of this violence is coming from the left wing. So now, okay, let's cherry pick out BLM and let's cherry pick out Antifa. Oh, so you're just getting rid of trans-Tifa. Let's get rid of all that. Let's take that out also. What other things would you like to take out of there so that you can make your false narrative work? You know what? We're going to change the gun violence argument to make it only white people. So you know what we're going to pull out of there? Let's take out all the gang violence in Chicago. Let's pull that out of our math. Kevin Nealon, when he was hosting Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live, still my favorite version of Weekend Update. Kevin Nealon, I remember one time, gets up there and he says, in a new study, 75% of all studies are made up. It's so true. The Cato Institute has a study saying it's all right-wing bias. Oh, you mean the left-wing think tank is blaming everything on the right? I'm shocked. This is my surprised face that you can see over at Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, and X. This is my surprised face right now. Give me a break. They didn't even think of trying out these talking points. They should have known they would not work. You want us to ignore what's happening with our own eyes? You know what, guys? That's fine. That's fine. If the Democrats want to go back to doing this, the Republicans are going to run the table in 2026 and 2028. I hope the Democrats keep doubling down on this insanity. On the other hand, I don't. Because if they keep doubling down on this calls for violence and justifying violence, you're only going to have more dead bodies on the right. Because when you call somebody a Nazi enough times, they start to believe it on the left. These homebodies that have no social lives. It used to be the weird kid in the corner was the weird kid in the corner. And when they would say something weird in class, everybody would kind of give them a look and they learned, maybe I shouldn't say that anymore. Now the weird kid in the corner has somebody who will always agree with them. Online, on social media, wherever it is. Somebody will always agree with what they say. And now you have the left literally justifying violence, justifying attacks, justifying death. How do you negotiate? How do you have an argument? How do you have a discussion when that's the case? J.D. Vance said this during his podcast.
Are these people violent? I hope not. But are they guilty of encouraging violence? You damn well better believe it. We can thank God that most Democrats don't share these attitudes, and I do, while acknowledging that something has gone very wrong with a lunatic fringe, a minority, but a growing and powerful minority on the far left. There is no unity with people who scream at children over their parents' politics. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order to excuse his murder. There is no unity with someone who harasses an innocent family the day after the father of that family lost a dear friend. There is no unity with the people who celebrate Charlie Kirk's assassination.
He's exactly right. And I disagree with one point that he made. He said it's a minority. I don't think it's the minority of the left anymore. I think that people who call our show and want to have the discussions with us, and we have a lot of people that disagree with us that call the show, I think they're the minority. The left controls corporations. The left controls the public school system. The left controls the teachers' unions. The left controls our entire state. How can you say it's the minority when they control so many levers of power? I don't think it's the minority. I actually think it's the majority of the left. And for my friends who think they're still Democrats, you're not anymore. The party has left you. And I'm not saying become Republicans, but I'm saying be like those other people who you're seeing on social media now who are coming out and saying, I'm never voting for this party again. It doesn't mean you have to vote Republican, but how can you support a party that is justifying the murder of a human being? Lots more to discuss as the show continues during our final hour free-for-all. When we come back, my friends, more of your calls, more of your texts. Plus, what is this insanity with Candace Owens that is now infecting the internet like a virus? Tell you all about it, but first, Todd Herman's Daily Thoughtcast right now on the Ari Hoffman Show. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, coming up at 5:45, your chance to win fantabulous prizes, including a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card and tickets to see The Who at Climate Pledge Arena. Yeah, another reason I always keep your radio tuned to 570 KVI, left on your dial, always right on the issues. You can also stream us at KVI.com, download the KVI app, and, of course, subscribe on whatever your preferred podcast platform is. We go to the Warrior Injury Law studio line and take a call from Stilgar in Newcastle. Stilgar, what's going on, man?
Well, it's a beautiful, not quite fall day out here. So on the idea of the left and death, I think that you have, with communism and socialism, they all basically link to atheism, which by definition doesn't value human life. I mean, you can maybe value your friend, your family, and your close friends, but everybody else is just a faceless chunk of meat walking around, and so it really doesn't matter if they live or die if it gets your whatever ends that you're trying to achieve achieved. So,
what I find entertaining about atheism, and I'm not questioning anybody who has atheistic beliefs, that's not what I'm saying, but what I find entertaining about it is the moral system that atheism still has, because everything has a moral system, is still based on those Judeo-Christian values. It's still based on that. It's we don't kill people, we don't steal people. Where did the law get it from? The law got it from those places. Otherwise, we'd have the purge every day. And as much fun as the movies were, I don't think that's something we want to do every single day. I don't think it's atheism, which is what it is. I think it's getting away from a moral code. So I know some people will equate the two. I know plenty of moral atheists. I know plenty of nice atheists. I know plenty of atheists. What I'm saying is that there is a moral compass that is missing here. And it seems to me that when people dump their religion, they sometimes choose a different religion. It doesn't necessarily involve God, right? Like socialism, like Marxism, even capitalism. When they choose a different ism, I think that's what it is. I don't think it's an atheism-specific thing. Most of the atheists I know are pretty decent people.
Well, I like to say that, if religion is the opiate of the masses, and you take away the religion, you end up with masses on opiates.
Well, you see that happening on our streets right now, don't you? In fact,
absolutely.
In fact, I'll tell you this, Stilgar. I didn't get into it earlier today. We got derailed a little bit, so I'll have the story for you tomorrow. But the homelessness situation here in Washington, even the Seattle Times is admitting it's worse than it's ever been, and it's continuing to go up. So if it's worse than it's ever been, it's continuing to go up. Is anybody surprised? Are you surprised, Stilgar? You drive all over the place.
I do, and no, if you fund something, you get more of it. It's really just basic economics. It's not rocket science at all.
Exactly.
I want to say, as far as BLM, when they say Black Lives Matter, like, do you support Planned Parenthood? Because you really can't think that Black Lives Matter if you're not letting Black lives exist.
I think that the worst thing that ever happened to the black community is actually abortion. I think that what's happened in the black community is an actual genocide of the amount of people that has wiped out. And
I did it back, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I don't think we're ever going to know how bad it is, because as opposed to telling people, hey, keep it in your pants, and I know that doesn't work with teenagers, and I get that. Believe me, I do. And I'm not even the biggest pro-choice kind of guy. I'm actually, or pro-life kind of guy. I'm not even there. I mean, I have very complicated views on all this kind of stuff. But I think when they just said, well, do whatever you want with whoever you want, whenever you want, is actually one of the things that has led to that. Stilgar, good conversation. Appreciate the call. Appreciate you being part of the show. You want to be part of the show, you give us a call or a text at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Becky in Enumclaw texted back in. I don't get Newsmax, but I wonder if you can YouTube your debate with that woman regarding the left not being so aggressive and blaming everything on the right. You did great, Ari, and I'm so glad, and I actually do believe the left has gotten so terrible for so long. Try not to think about that, but I believe it is truth. And when I speak to somebody about politics, which is not a lot, and she says, I'm a coward, you're not a coward, Becky. You're saying this stuff out loud for me to read it on air. I speak just 10 times, they get crazier, but I am very nice. That's the thing, Becky. You're not a coward if you talk to them. You're actually very brave if you talk to them. Apparently now, if you talk to somebody, you can be killed for your ideals. But yes, Becky, to answer your question, I will make sure to put that up on X. I'll make sure to put it up on Facebook. I'll make sure to put it up on Rumble. I'll make sure to put it up over on YouTube, which my channel was recently restored, sort of. I'm still missing all my followers and all my old videos and everything like that. But I do get some of this stuff. So you can find me at Ari Hoffman Official on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find me at The Hofffather over on X and on Rumble. Just look up The Ari Hoffman Show. And I will make sure it is all there for you. When we come back, Candace Owens' latest insanity. Why are us Jews always getting dragged into her insanity? We'll tell you about her latest conspiracy theory about Charlie Kirk when we come back. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Welcome back to the Ari Hoffman Show. Just a reminder, if you haven't checked out the new KVI.com, make sure you head on over there, see new articles from the entire team over here, get new content. Also, make sure you subscribe to our podcast and download the KVI app. That way you can take us with you anywhere you go. Candace Owens has completely lost her mind. Candace Owens, I think she did an internal calculation a little while ago when she was having all the blow-ups with Ben Shapiro, and she said, you know what? If I say this stuff, there's a lot more bots out there than anything else, and they're going to support the crazy stuff I say and drive my analytics and drive my numbers up. She must have been losing her mind today when the guys from the Daily Wire, including Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and Michael Knowles, were on the Charlie Kirk show with right there, they're with Charlie's guy, Andrew Colvett, and they're discussing Charlie's life. The Daily Wire today announced that they are donating $1 million to Turning Point USA. $1 million. Of course, that drives people like Candace nuts because she thinks there's some Jewish conspiracy to take over Turning Point USA. She thinks there's some Jewish conspiracy in anything. I think at one point she did this for the clicks, but now I think she actually believes it. She went on this whole rant last night saying she's one of the Masons of Turning Point USA. I'm sorry, did I miss something? Did Candace Owens help form Turning Point USA? I know she was a contributor for a little while. That doesn't mean you helped form the thing. And she was saying if the wrong person is in that chair for Charlie Kirk, then she'll reveal everything she knows. By the way, this is her shtick. She always says she'll reveal everything she knows and then never actually reveals anything. Well, she went after Bill Ackman. Apparently, Bill Ackman, very successful businessman, Bill Ackman had a bunch of people together, a bunch of conservative influencers to discuss various points, and some of it actually involved Israel. Candace Owens is convinced there's some Jewish conspiracy under every single rock. And she accused Bill Ackman of pressuring Charlie Kirk to change his narrative. Let me tell you something. Nobody pressured Charlie Kirk to do anything. And there are times I disagreed with Charlie Kirk on this stuff, but that long-form interview we did yesterday with Rabbi Pesach Walicki about one of the last conversations Charlie Kirk had professionally, which was all about talking points on Israel and what his beliefs were and what Rabbi Walicki's were. They had a difference of opinion. They did have a difference of opinion. But overall, Charlie Kirk said, holy cow, I'm getting asked about Israel 50% of the questions I'm getting on college campuses. I want to talk about it more so I can refine what I believe in, not get talking points from anybody else. So Bill Ackman responded to Candace Owens' insanity. He said, this afternoon, Candace Owens slandered me by accusing me of staging an intervention with Charlie Kirk, in which threats were made with respect to a supposed evolving stance on Israel at an event I hosted in the Hamptons. Candace also intimidated that I blackmailed Charlie. On the show, Candace said she would be very happy to dispute this narrative. While it pains me to drive more traffic to her program, I'm responding here to clear my name. It saddens me that we live in a society where social media influencers seek to monetize the tragic death of Charlie Kirk. For the record, I at no time have threatened Charlie Kirk, Turning Point, or anyone associated with him. I've never blackmailed anyone, let alone Charlie Kirk. I never offered Charlie Kirk or Turning Point any money in an attempt to influence Charlie's opinion on anything. In fact, my interactions with Charlie Kirk have been extremely cordial, limited, regretfully so, as I was impressed by him and his work and will sadly never get to see it again. He said that for a long time he was a fan of Charlie Kirk, and while he doesn't agree with him on every issue, he had enormous respect for his intelligence, vast knowledge about religion, and his willingness to take on all comers in open mic sessions. I connected with Charlie when he DM'd me in late May this year and expressed interest in meeting me. In light of our respective schedules, we were unable to find a time, so we scheduled a Zoom on June 11th. In the Zoom, he explained to me that conservatives, in particular young conservatives, were getting tired of defending Israel, and it was very concerning to him. I asked how I could learn more, and he suggested it might be helpful to convene a group of young conservative influencers on a host of topics that could include Israel to get a better sense of how conservative community was thinking about Israel and other relevant issues of concern to young people. So they had this big open session. Bill Ackman provided the space out in the Hamptons. They all went out there, and they had this conversation in August. And you had lots of influencers out there discussing various topics, discussing lots of stuff Charlie would talk about on college campuses. But it was all them refining their own talking points. The agenda for it was the economic future of America, the cultural landscaping of dating and marriage, the convergence of East and West, Mamdani, the new threat to America. Israel came up through these conversations, as it naturally would, but at the same time, this is nothing like what Candace Owens described. And what's interesting to me is this thing has gotten thousands, tens of thousands of shares. And a lot of them are from the people who are at this conference. I got to say, Mike, I'm bummed out I didn't get to go to this conference. This would have been awesome. But you know what? It was Seafair weekend. So I'm okay having missed it. I mean, it would have been fun to be there. But here's the thing. All the people who were at this conference said, yeah, I don't know what Candace Owens is talking about. This is exactly what happened, not what Candace Owens says. And yet this is the lunacy that she is spewing on social media. Rob McCoy, who's a pastor and was Charlie Kirk's pastor, posted this in response to what Candace Owens is spewing online. Charlie Kirk was my friend, and I was his pastor. I want to simply say this regarding Candace Owens. Charlie Kirk was a friend to Candace and never publicly spoke poorly of her, though he disagreed with her. He never operated nor entertained gossip or innuendo concerning Candace. My only comment I offer regarding Candace is this. I only wish, at this tragic time of mourning, she would be a friend to Charlie that he was to her. He would never have treated Candace or her family in such a way, had God forbid this tragedy been hers. He then quotes Proverbs 17:17, a friend loves at all times. Candace Owens is literally standing on Charlie's grave for clicks. That is literally what she is doing. I didn't know Charlie that well. I interviewed him one time. And I was in awe of his knowledge. I was in awe of his faith. I was in awe of his brilliance and how friendly he was. Such a nice guy. Mike knows this firsthand. A lot of times we interview a lot of people in this industry, and they are not nice people. Some people, as soon as we're done with the interview, they don't even say goodbye. It's just click on to the next interview to sell my book or sell my movie or sell whatever it is. Charlie spoke to me for like close to 30 minutes when he's running a convention. As a guy who's run conventions before, I can tell you, you don't have 30 minutes to sit and talk with anybody. But Charlie took that kind of time with me when it was my first year on radio. I was a brand new host. He didn't know who the hell I was. The post-millennial didn't have the relationship with Turning Point USA that it has now. And yet, he took that kind of time. What Candace Owens is doing is absolutely disgusting. Andrew Colvett, who was Charlie's right-hand man, said, I've been asked about the Bill Ackman event more than a few times now. So I asked our staff who were traveling with Charlie to find out what's true and what's not. His team was with him 100% of the time. When he wasn't in his hotel room, here's what he told me. Bill never yelled at Charlie, never pressed him on Bibi, never gave him a list of Charlie's offenses against Israel. There was concern raised about having Tucker at the Student Action Summit. We don't believe this came from Bill. And Charlie's reply was, honestly, people telling me not to have Tucker makes me want to have Tucker, and I'm going to lock him in for Amfest too. Charlie personally told me he had a very cordial relationship with Bill, and the event was very productive. Those are the facts. He said, I spoke to all the team members who were there with him because I wanted to make sure one person hadn't missed any alleged incident. Candace Owens is lying. And the problem is she has a heads I win, tails you lose attitude because it never makes sense to actually sue somebody for defamation. The math doesn't pencil out. You need somebody with endless cash, and maybe Bill Ackman, but you need somebody with a ton of cash to go after her and destroy her. Now, I'm not saying you have to destroy her physically. I'm saying is that she could just slander whoever she wants, and there's never any consequences. I can't believe I'm cheering for the Macrons who are suing her right now to shut her up about the false claims she made about them. She accused his wife of being a man with no proof whatsoever. No proof at all. This is her shtick. Throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. See who responds. See what you can say that provokes a reaction. That's not what a friend does. That's not what a friend does when another one dies. Says something just for clicks. If you've watched the guys from the Daily Wire on Charlie's show, it was all about Charlie. If you watched any of these tributes, J.D. Vance's thing, all about Charlie and what Charlie stood for on his show. All these things from all the Turning Point USA contributors, all about Charlie and what he stood for. What Cam Higby's doing. He's going out and copying Charlie's model as a tribute to Charlie on these college campuses. Candace Owens is in it for Candace Owens. And that's really, really upsetting, given how many people used to look up to her. Only good news to wrap up the show. Your good news giveaway, your good news headlines. Your chance to win a $50 Daniels Broiler gift card and tickets to see The Who in concert. You're listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI. It is time to feel good as we wrap up another amazing episode of the Ari Hoffman Show right here on Talk Radio 570 KVI. And before we get to our good news giveaway, got some good news headlines for you. I always say our best tips come from our listeners. David has been furiously texting us to make sure we haven't missed this story, and he actually suggested that we save it for the good news giveaway. Hey, Ari, just letting you know that Cal Raleigh just broke the great Mickey Mantle single-season MLB record, 54 in 1961, for most home runs by a switch hitter, with his solo shot in the fourth inning in Kansas City. Cal is now the all-time MLB single-season record holder for most home runs in a season by a switch hitter, with his 55th dinger. FYI, Mantle's 54 home runs in 1961 was in a 162-game season. Maybe use this for your good news segment at the end of your show. David from the Democratic People's Republic of Seattle. Now, David actually had a few more updates for us. Had a few other things to tell us about this. FYI, Cal is just one home run away from tying the great Ken Griffey Jr. for the Mariners' single-season home run leader with 56. Griffey hit 56 home runs in both the 1996 and 1997 seasons. I love having texters like this. He knows what he's talking about. I don't have to go look for it. By the way, David, just as a thank you to you, you beat the media. You literally had a more compact summary with all the details and everything else we need and statistics. I looked for this in the media to verify what you said. Most of them don't even have it up yet. So kudos to you. In fact, he continues, Cal just tied Ken Griffey Jr. for the M's single-season home run record with his 56 home run record of the game. Only 6 away from tying Aaron Judge for the AL single-season home run record of 62. Now, you know what I would love? We destroyed that Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. All that's gone, right? These guys beat that. I just want to make sure. I want that gone from the... I don't want the top 5. I don't want that asterisk left over from the steroids era. I want all that gone. I am rooting for Cal Raleigh. How can you not root for something like this? Really, I'm rooting for Cal Raleigh. This is really a remarkable achievement. You know, they say, what's the hardest thing to do in sports? What's the hardest thing to do in sports? Hit a baseball. That is the hardest thing. Have you ever tried hitting a fastball that's coming in your direction? It's nearly impossible. Sometimes you just have to swing that bat with your eyes closed, and maybe you have a better chance of actually doing it if you're looking at the thing. A 90-mile-an-hour fastball, it's horrifying. And I played baseball. When you see one of those suckers coming at you, I'm like, oh, my major league career is never going to get started. You know why they put that big black thing in the outfield of Major League Baseball? So you can see the baseball. That's what it's there for, so you can see the baseball. It's so hard to see. The hand-eye coordination, everything else, I'm in awe. I'll put this up to a vote, by the way. What would you rather do? Shoot and score the game-winning bucket in the NBA Finals, catch or throw the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl, or hit the home run that wins the World Series? I think they did this study once for real, and it was like 80, 90% said the home run. Which one would you prefer? Text us at 206-421-5757. Before I forget, your chance to win fantabulous prizes. Today we're giving away a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card. Daniel's Broiler has been a Seattle favorite since 1980. Features USDA prime steak and other specialties, including chicken and fresh seafood, as well as a selection of high-end spirits, wine, and cocktails. Daniel's Broiler is open now in Bellevue, downtown Seattle, Leschi, and South Lake Union. With dine-in, takeout, and delivery, check out danielsbroiler.com to reserve a table, place your takeout, delivery order, and more. We're also giving away a copy of 7 Steps to a Successful Retirement by Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs. Learn how to design your retirement to support your quality of life. For 30-plus years from Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs, a local company working to help you grow deep financial roots. So future financial storms don't blow your life savings away. Visit madronafinancial.com for more information and discover how you can create a rooted wealth plan today. Last but certainly not least, we are giving away, where's my piece of paper here? 2 tickets to see The Who at Climate Pledge Arena on Thursday, September 25th. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. All you have to do in order to win these fantabulous prizes, be caller number 10 at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. Caller number 10 will win a $50 Daniel's Broiler gift card, a copy of 7 Steps to a Successful Retirement by Brian Evans of Madrona Financial and CPAs, and 2 tickets to see The Who at Climate Pledge Arena on September 25th. Phone lines are open now. Give Mike a call for your chance to win at 206-421-5757. That's 206-421-5757. That's going to do it for us today, my friends. Fear not, we'll be back tomorrow with more insane stories, more exciting guests, and, of course, more giveaways. You've been listening to The Ari Hoffman Show on Talk Radio 570 KVI.